nations, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. If you would remove your covers, please, and bow your heads for a prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we come to you today, and God, we just give you thanks. We give you thanks for all the blessings that you've given us, the ones we know about and the ones that we don't. Lord, we thank you for all of our first responders, Lord, giving their time and being here and doing the work that honors you, Lord, and serving their neighbors. God, we just, most of all, we thank you for your Son, Jesus Christ. And God, we ask that you just guide us and lead us and help direct us in making decisions for this county and the first responders and everyone in it, and to do things that may honor you, Lord. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
All right, do we have anybody for public comment? All right. We got Mr. Roger Short. Hello, Mr. Short.
How you doing, sir?
Doing fine.
My name is Roger Short. My wife and I are citizens of San Jacinto County. We live on South McMurray Road in Lake Livingston Acres, just a little over a mile west of Coldspring. And it's been brought to my attention that after a certain date, the Coldspring Fire Department will no longer be notified if I call 911 for a fire at my home. I've been paying property taxes in San Jacinto County for over 11 years, and I, as well as others in Lake Livingston Acres, deserve a prompt response. Coldspring Fire Department is about 4 miles away from my home. Punkin is about 8 miles. Shepherd is about 16, and others too far to mention. If this is so, why are you not going to inform them of my emergency? Is it because of some disagreement with ESD and Coldspring Fire Department, or if that's the case, you have no right to put me in that position? I hope this can be resolved. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I'm sorry, what was your name again? Roger?
Roger Short. And my name's easy to remember because it's short.
Yeah. All right, next we'll have Mr. Gerald Dicker.
Well, I'm probably not going to make any friends with what I have to say, but I'm not exactly in favor of the ESD board, and I'll tell you why. It's because I was not at the meeting when you made the decision that you was going to all of a sudden eliminate out of the clear blue sky the Coldspring Fire Department, volunteer fire department. And it's my understanding, I would have loved to have been there because we were told in advance that there was going to be fireworks at that particular meeting. But I was at a city council meeting, which was more civil. And the thing that I don't agree with is when you made this decision and the plaintiff didn't have an opportunity to defend themselves and say anything because you wouldn't give them that platform. To me, that's unjust and it's unfair. The other thing that bothers me is you've hired a paid fire chief. Was that your decision of the board? Do us, the taxpayers, have anything to say about that? And the thing that really bugs me is the fact that you have the audacity to pay somebody when the Coldspring Fire Department, volunteer fire department, was established in 1970. And then in 2002, I believe it was, this organization come along. And from what I observed from the last meeting in Shepherd, there's so many if, ands, and buts, and maybes for the departments to do in order to become a member of the ESD board. And it seems like it's nothing but dictation on the part of the ESD board. And the reason I come up with that conclusion is they have to give up their assets in order to be a part of the ESD board. How in the world, as a taxpayer, if you come to me and you ask me to give up my assets, how can you ask them to give up their assets and everything that they've worked for and progressed in earning in order to become a member of the ESD board when you dictate to them what they can do? And it's just, it's like you're a government all of a sudden for the 9 different departments. I don't know why anybody wants to give up their assets in order to become a member of the ESD board. And especially with your proposal of hiring people to come in and take the place of the Coldspring Volunteer Fire Department, and you want to pay them salaries. We've calculated exactly what that's going to be. And the taxpayers don't want to be spending $1 million the time that you take everything into consideration in order to do this. You have a fire department, and that fire department, if you had been at the last meeting of the city council, that fire department had a report of all of the extensive training and orientation that they've gone through. And some of it may agree with you and some of it may not. But to diminish them and to all of a sudden bring in people from the outside, where's the fairness in that to us taxpayers?
Thank you, Mr. Deeter. Mr. Roger Samoff?
Roger Samoff, live on North Butch Arthur.
What's your last name? I'm sorry.
Samoff, S-A-M-O-F-F.
Okay, thank you.
My comments really kind of come in 2 packages. One is simple. It's my understanding that you've going to make the investment in a duty crew, and yet there seems to be something that was bypassed, and that was the need for an additional ambulance in this community. I'd like to better understand that. Didn't see any documentation on what that was, how that decision was made, understand how you make decisions. The other really goes back to a couple of meetings ago when I first spoke up about trust. Mike, and I'll say this again to the board, and I'll use an example. Michael, you were good at sharing with me at the end of that meeting the fact that you had a 60-day clause in the contracts with each of the units that you wanted them to sign that allowed you without reason to cancel at any time. You then basically invoke that as it relates to Coldspring. Now, what are any of these chiefs or any of these other volunteers to think that at some point, because you disagree with them on something else, that you're not going to cancel them? What do the communities think? What do the taxpayers think about that? One of the things, and I think the last time I'm talking is, you guys were going to get together with the city of Coldspring and try to work to resolve any of these issues. Hopefully at some point you'll make comment today of whether that effort has actually taken place and in what substance.
Thank you, Mr. Samoff. Mr. Ray McCoppin.
Thank you. So last meeting I stood up and talked about the budget and how it was published online was very skimpy. Denise sent me a text a couple days later and said that she had missed updating it, so she sent me a updated copy. And I have a few comments about it. And the first comment that I got is about the 2025 approved budget. And in your presentation, Brian, anyway, you talked a whole lot about training, and y'all were going to provide training. Anyway, I noticed in the budget that she put up there, the budget item for training has gone down from where it was. I don't know if that was by intent or by mistake or what, but it doesn't seem that should be the case. The next thing, I kind of started looking at some of these numbers, and I kind of went through them in my head and kind of went, wow, okay. So 2024, the sales tax y'all had on there was $340,000, and 2025, it says $200,000. And well, sales tax, I don't think that's going down. If anything, it's probably going up. So I went back and looked at 2023, which is all I had, okay, because I hadn't seen the I'm going to say, audited financials for 2024 yet. Okay, they're supposed to be in by June, by the way, and we're in July. That's okay. Anyway, in 2023, the sales tax was $476,000, and y'all got it budgeted for $200,000. I think if the county's budget was that bad, I'm a previous county commissioner, Fritz would probably say something. That being said, the other thing was on here, says interest. Again, I went back to the 2023 audited, and the line's blank here, but in 2023, y'all had an income of $216,000 and some odd dollars, and it's blank all the way across. Anyway, right there, that's $500,000. It's kind of like floating in the ether. I don't know where it's at. So, that being said, the other thing is I couldn't exactly grasp how this was put together. I'm sorry, but I grew up under some people, old accounting people, and when I stepped into being commissioner, it was a piece of cake, because I had a lot of the line item memorized. Like 409 is miscellaneous line item, Back in the old days, that was the way it was. 409, miscellaneous. I think Roger Samoff knows that too. He was PricewaterhouseCoopers. So what I'm saying is, this is a hodgepodge of Excel spreadsheets. I guess if your external auditor takes that, it's okay, but to me, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Sorry.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. McCoppin.
Thank you.
Item number 4, roll call of district emergency service providers.
Yes.
980 North.
Yes. We had one run for 8 hours, 48 hours of training for 56 total hours. We also had one EMS assist.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I was writing something down and I missed your total.
My total hours was 56.
56, thank you.
One run.
Yes.
Bear Creek.
5 runs, 58 hours, 93 training hours for a total of 151. Total of what? 151.
Thank you, sir.
Sir?
Camilla?
Yep, we had 5 calls, 11 and a half call hours, 35 training hours for a total of 46 and a half.
Thank you, Chief. Cape area?
We had only one call, EMS LZ, it was 10 hours, 42 training hours, 98 other hours, total 150 hours.
All right, thank you, Chief. Coldspring?
We had 20 runs for 33 run hours, 195 other hours for a total of 220.
All right, thank you, Chief. Oakhurst?
We had 4 runs for a total of 25 man hours. We had 143 other hours, a total of 168.
Thank you, Chief. Point blank?
We had 11 incidents. Man hours was 20, training hours 20, total of 40. We had 4 EMS assists, 5 gas alarm, 2 disregards, 11 calls, and 1 mutual aid.
Thank you, Chief.
What was your total hours? I'm sorry.
40.
40, thank you.
Pumpkin Evergreen?
Mixed reporting here. ESO is on the Fred, so I got to call in a ticket for the reporting, the report that I pull in.
Yes, sir.
Between 13 and 19 calls. I'll get you the rest. I'll get all the details.
Okay.
But yeah, I got to call in a ticket for them to fix it.
Okay, thank you,
Get it
Chief.
printed.
Shepherd?
There's 27 calls, 97 call hours, training the other 218.5 with a total of 315.5.
Thank you, Chief. San Jacinto County First Responders?
26 runs, 52 hours, other hours are 69 for a total of 121.
How many calls?
26.
26, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. All right, item number 5, review and approve minutes to the prior meetings.
You have 2 sets of minutes in your packet. One is from the June 6th regular meeting and one is from the June 2nd special meeting. There have been no changes since these were emailed to you.
I move we approve.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a second. Any discussion? All in favor? All right, 3-0. Item number 6, receive and approve the financial reports.
All right. In your financial report, we are at 8 months of county taxes. The budget summary has been updated, the contingency has been updated, the unbudgeted revenue has been updated, the checking account and sales tax account have both been reconciled. Next page is your district line items, then your EMS and VFD all, your individual VFDs, the contingency worksheet, the approved items, and the credit card breakdown. And there have been no changes since these were emailed to you previously.
I didn't get the piece of backup for the fire departments. Or maybe I don't think I did. That shows each one of the,
It's on the email.
is it? Okay.
Yeah, I sent the complete.
I misread it, yeah.
Yeah, I sent it.
I was looking at Shepherd. It was a little high.
Well, on page 3, the fire prevention, that's at 0.
Yeah, we usually only do that one time a year.
Okay.
We buy the supplies for the whole thing. And just as a side note, the Forest Service gives each department $15,000 a year for training. That is 100% reimbursable, and so that is a lot of where their training comes from.
I move we approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I've seen it before.
Have a second? Any discussion? All in favor? There we go. Item number 7, receive information and report from the district's EMS provider.
All right. So the month of June, we had 342 calls. We transported 237, a 69% transport rate. The assigned units that responded were, average response time was 13:22. Mutual aid outside into the county was 23:47. Percentage of calls that were under 10% or under 10 minutes were 46%. Percentage of calls between 10 and 20 were 43%, and percentage of calls over 20 were 11%. Mutual aid calls into the county were 8. They transported 4. Again, their response time was 23:47. Coldspring had 126 calls. They transported 81. Their average response time was 13:29. Had no flights. Shepherd had 124 calls. They transported 93. Their transport percentage was 75%. Their average response time was 12:54 with 1 flight. Point Blank had 84 calls, transported 59. That was a 70% transport rate, and their average response time was 13:53 with 1 flight.
You got my glasses on.
I do. Yes,
Oh,
sir.
you're not finished, I'm sorry.
Well, I have the breakdown of the calls coming in from Polk County. We had 4 coming in from 8410. They transported 1 of those 4. Their average response time was 22:59. 8412 came in and took 3 of the calls. They transported 2. They had an average response time of 25:31. And Polk County 8420 came in. Well, they got canceled, that's why it's zeroed out there.
Right.
Polk County 8430 had 1 call, and their average response time was 21:49.
Monty, while we got you here, not to put you on the spot,
That's what I can.
Just here recently, I've gotten a couple of calls about a particular unit, actually out of Shepherd, not really making their good shoot times, basically stating that, a couple of different people, I guess, in the community stated that they've noticed that it's taken them 5 and 10 minutes. So, and I've asked them if they've talked to anybody else about it, and they said that they hadn't, and they brought it to my attention. So that's what I was going to bring to your attention today. I know you do a pretty good job of keeping up with times and stuff, but we're just curious if in your response time metrics that you use, if you use, the shoot times, the response times, and travel times, and actually check it to make sure that for those that don't know out there, that if they dispatch a call and then the person goes over the route on the radio and they say, we're en route, but really they're taking a nap or they're going to go
They're en route from their bed.
they're going to go to the bathroom, and they take 10 minutes to get out of the station, so they wasn't en route. Let's say in Shepherd at 1451 South Bird Avenue, that the call was on Red Bud Lane right next door, 1 minute travel time per Google, no lights and siren, that if they went en route a minute afterwards, and then should have taken them a minute to get there, then it was only a 2 to 3 minute total response time, and then the response time actually ended up being 20, so where's that gap at? I didn't know if you currently track all them factors right now, or just a portion of them, or how does that work?
Yeah, so in our data that we get, we can actually see that actually the dispatchers are tasked to watch the shoot times through the cameras. The cameras act as GPS, and they work in real time, so they can see the guys when they're moving and when they're not.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mom. Can you explain to everybody what shoot times are?
Shoot times this is the time that the shoot time, as I explain it, is the time it takes the crew to get the wheels rolling. All right, that factors into our response times. So there's a lot of things we cannot do about response time, but we can do a lot about shoot time. So that's where my concentration usually is with the shoot time. And I send out many memos a year to the dispatchers and to my crews about the shoot times. Now, I'm not going to tell you that that we hit every one of them under 3 minutes. There's a time or two that I have to issue out disciplinary action to folks who give me more than what I look at. We have a shoot time, and I'll explain it. During the day, we shoot for 60 seconds. That's a high bar to hit, but if we can get up there near it, we're good. And when I say that, and at night it's 90. So if I can get out the door under 3, then we're good. Anything over 3 is reported to me, and then I take it from there.
Thank you. But can we look at pushing that back closer to the national standards? I know it takes some time, probably have to give a little bit of grace period, but just start letting your crews know that it's being watched and tracked.
Absolutely.
And if you implement it over a period of time, I mean, coming from a guy that's actually seen it and been part of that issue and problem myself, I believe that we start pushing towards the national average goals and stuff, and then just the awareness of it that somebody's watching will probably improve that. Also, I encourage my reportee basically to let me know specific times and incidences, obviously, so they're going to keep track of that as well, and as then problems come up and occur, we'll actually reach out and contact you and get you to audit them calls and to pay close attention to it. So
absolutely,
we appreciate it. Thank you. Receive information and report from Jacinto County Dispatch.
I didn't get anything this month, sir.
Okay.
They didn't send it by me.
Yeah. All right. Number 9, receive information and/or report from OEM and Fire Marshal.
We had 5 inspections, 3 investigations, ran, I believe, 3 gas investigations, smell of gas investigations with the fire department. For anybody who don't know, DETCOG has given OEM I don't even remember the brand, sniffer.
Right.
So we make a lot of those calls with the fire department. Had several trainings. We have another training coming up this Saturday for anybody that needs hazmat awareness. Be here Saturday. Yeah, time to sign up. I can get you the information. Coldspring has a EMR class starting here in 2 weeks.
September 9th.
September 9th.
August 9th, sorry.
August 9th. They'll be here, and we're working with the SFFMA to become a testing site here.
Nice. Thank you, Chief.
Yeah, they have a report.
Receive information from the Jacinto County ESD Fire Chief.
I see the update that was added to your packet after it was made. But I decided to remind the fire departments that the peak stuff has been sent to the group meet, so make sure you sign up for those. And also, Pumpkin Evergreen Engine 131 is out of service due to the damage it incurred this last month. It's going to be at the shop for about a week or so. And then Tanker 141 was overheating a week ago, so it's out of service until parts come in.
Denise, it's more than this. Oh, you, okay, never mind.
Item number 11, receive information from the department's chiefs or from the Chiefs Association.
Appreciate the meeting that you hosted a week ago to give more information about the details of the plan forward, and also to work on answering questions that have been asked. Second thing is the next countywide training is scheduled for July 30th, Wednesday next week, at Pumpkin Evergreen, 6:30 p.m. And the subject is ladder handling, ladder throwing. The final bit of information that you may already know or may not know, Chief Randy Hall has been asked by the game warden diving team in Kerrville to mobilize our riverboat with 2 types of sonar, 360 degree and a fish, to assist them in locating vehicles underwater, our RVs underwater. He left very early this morning. He expects to be there the whole week, and with 4 divers on board, game warden divers, to assist in the search and rescue and recovery of vehicles underwater.
I have a question. Did he deploy as part of a task force or a TIFMAS state agency?
He was invited directly by the game wardens, and I'm not sure how that fits into the emergency management organization. But there was a direct request from the game warden dive team, and how that dovetails in under TIFMAS or not, I do not have that information. I forgot to mention that we still have here our lake rescue boat. So the boat that he has taken is a river boat. It's not the boat that we normally use for water rescue.
So he did take a boat?
He took the river boat.
He took the river boat?
Yeah, we have 2 boats, and each boat can take both types of sonar. So we put both types of sonar on the river boat and taken it out to Curva.
Excuse me, Chief Rickton. If you could give me that information, because we just updated Tito today on available resources, and that stuff's in the count. I need to correct that one.
Yeah,
we didn't know anybody was deployed.
It's in our inventory, all about the deployment.
Yeah,
right, he's still showing it inside of, so our county basically has a number of apparatus and things that he shows response ready right now, and he has that boat listed as this county grant for us, and it's actually somewhere else.
I guess they don't even know it's deployed.
All right.
Thank you.
Got the message, thank you.
Was there anything else from the Chiefs Association? Or?
No further updates.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Number 12, receive information, comments, announcements from the ESD Board Commissioners with no action needed.
I added this item, Mr. President, because there's a lot of times that the board wants to say something, but they don't necessarily need to sign up under public comment. So this is just for you guys to make any public announcements, anything that you guys want to just announce or talk about that requires no action.
All right. Mike, you got anything?
I have a response to some of the public comment, but I'm not going to do it. This is not the forum to do that. We'll handle it otherwise.
Okay. Derek, anything? I just wanted to ask about Item number 13, district business. Review and take action on the 2024 audit as presented by Brooks Watson.
Here we are.
Mr. Watson, this is your time to shine.
All right, thank you all. Appreciate the opportunity to be in front of you today. So you each have a bound report in front of you. Inside of that, if you flip it open, there's the PowerPoint presentation I'll go through with you. There's also a couple letters. So if you flip it open, find that. Yeah, you got it. Okay, just give you guys a second. So the audit was conducted over the year ended December 31st, 2024. Okay. My name is John Watson. I work for Brooks Watson & Company. We serve as your independent auditor. Flip to the next page. Quick overview of the audit process. The audit was conducted consistently with U.S. GAAP as generally accepted auditing standards. It's a 3-phased approach. The first phase is the planning phase. We look at areas we find most susceptible to risk of error or fraud. We conduct our field work according to that assessment. We rebalance this to underlying reports. We draw samples, vouch those samples to underlying evidence. We confirm balances with third parties, make sure they're showing the same results as y'all. If there are differences or errors, we determine as to why and propose audit adjustments. That's the field work stage. Kind of get into the conclusion reporting stage where we propose those adjustments. We also prepare that report you all have in front of you and a couple letters. Okay, so that's the 3 phases of a U.S. gas audit over entity this size. All right. Next page, the report. There's 5 sections to it. The first section is the audit opinion. So that's a letter from us, your independent auditor. Describes whether the financial statements are consistent with U.S. GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles, or if there are any modifications. We'll look at that on the next page. Management's discussion and analysis follows that. It goes over changes year over year. We can see prior year results, current year results, significant changes. Those are explained within there. So a great place to look. You want to see big changes for the district year over year. Basic financials follow that. Those are presented on two different bases of accounting. So you can see similar information presented two different ways. The first is government-wide statements. So your statement of net position, statement of activities, that's full accrual. That's how you typically see businesses accounted for. Any long-term debt, capital assets, those are recorded as assets and debt, okay? Then we got your fund level statements, which are called modified accrual, okay? Debt outflows are treated as expenditures in that. Capital asset spending is also an expenditure. So they're not, long-term activity is not capitalized on the modified accrual statements, okay? So those are the differences. So if you understand that, those big differences, you'll understand why those reports look different, all right? Notes to the financials follow that. It's got some details about those results. Factory report, you've got your budget to actual schedule for your pension, your TCR's pension, as well as your budget actual quote for your general fund. And then you got your pension schedule. You can see your funded position for the pension. So that's in the very back of the report. And then supplementary information about your taxes, property taxes, and some expenditures there. So that's everything within your report. Flip to page 4. I mentioned the audit opinion. Okay, there's 4 types of audit opinions you could receive. At the top here is unmodified. That's the highest level of assurance the CPA can provide. And then modified, disclaimed, and adverse would be progressively worse opinions. Districts receiving an unmodified opinion. That means there's no material errors or inconsistencies within this report we're aware of. Gained enough evidence to issue that report. We're thankful to Denise and everybody getting us that. Appreciate very much. Like I said, highest level of assurance the CPA can provide, so I can't give you anything else beyond that. So thank you for that. Financial highlights. So keep in mind this is as of December 31st, 24, and the year ended the same. Just a few bullets for you. Total assets exceeded total liabilities by about $8,669,000, which was an increase of about $909,000. District had an ending fund balance of about $3,022,000, which was a decrease of $300,927. There's a lot of capital outlay spending, so that's why one is positive and one is negative, because on one side, capital outlay is being capitalized, on the other side, it's being expensed. Unassigned fund balance within your general fund, which is your only fund, was the same, $3,022,473, which is 71% of your annual general fund expenditures. So close to 3/4 worth of a year worth of reserve there, okay? Page 6, this is a pie chart of your revenues. You see the makeup here. So property taxes made up 75%, so 3/4 of your revenues, close to $3 million. Prior year it was also about 3/4, $2,850,000, so an increase year over year. Sales taxes make up 13%, $506,000. Prior year was $476,000, so an increase year over year. Grants and contributions in the current year made up 4%, about $150,000. Prior year was 2%, $68,445, so significant increase year over year. Other revenues, which is primarily investment income, made up 8%, $334,000. Prior year was $356,000, so relatively close year over year. Go to page 7. I don't have much more for you. Just summarized look at your budget to actual schedule. There's also a page citation. If you look at page 45 within the report, you'll see some of the details. So the final budget is on the left here. So that would be your original budget, any budget amendments, and then the actual is in the middle, and then variance between budget and actual is on the right. And then we got some variances circled in red. Revenues at the top right here. So revenues were over budget by $472,000. That was property tax, sales tax, and investment income. All were over budget. So that fed into that positive budget variance there. Expenditures were under budget. So actual was less than your budget by $286,706. And then there was some other financing resources, which was insurance proceeds received during the year of about $105,495. So those three variances fed into a positive budget variance of $864,900. Go ahead.
The insurance that we got paid for damaged equipment, but that's still considered revenue?
Yeah. So that inflow is a revenue at the fund level. Yeah.
But you don't counter that with repair expense.
You do, but it's exactly what you said, it's an expense. So one's gonna be a revenue, the revenue coming in, so we don't just offset it. We show the inflow is revenue, other financing source, I'm using revenue lightly.
Right.
But it's a positive, and then the expenditure for it is an expense. So we show it at gross rather than netting and only reporting the net.
So we should change where, in the future, when we take in that, we should change where we put it in our budget.
Yeah, if you want to align your budget more closely to the accounting, you might pass a budget amendment and,
when that money comes in,
Yeah.
put it
where?
That's
Well,
where we're getting at, where we
That-
put it.
That's
But-
exactly
right.
what happens. When that money comes in, it gets put in unbudgeted revenue, and then by budget amendment, it gets put back into the line where that money was spent. So that already happens.
So doesn't that, or do we just have to go, when we get it in, send it straight to that line? Or, because it's not budgeted revenue, obviously.
yeah, it's unknown, right, until
Right.
the event occurs, I understand.
Right, and so the event has occurred because we're getting the insurance for it.
Yeah.
So, but we can't go straight to that line, you know, where it was expense. Or,
Go ahead and finish. And I'll-
well, I don't understand how we have to go into revenue and then expense it, but all you look at is the revenue side
I
of
look
it.
at timing, so this is modified accrual. So if you have not incurred the repair yet, if you've gotten the money but not done the repair yet, then you're only on the revenue side. For modified accrual, you're recognizing the revenue side. If you're gonna engage in the repair activity after your end, so it's all timing. This is a window of time.
Right.
Okay.
So these windows, just like debt, great example, you might issue a debt toward the end of the year, you've got big plans with that money, right? Some new trucks, et cetera. So we recognize the debt funds, they're received, we have to account for them, they're recognized. So we get that inflow potentially in year one. The expenditure activity may occur in year 2, 3, 4, et cetera. And those are recognized when incurred. So when the activity is occurring related to the expenditure.
All right.
Good question. Any other questions? And I'll open it up at the end as well. In fact, I don't think I have much else. I think that's my next
That was
page.
all I had. I seen it circled in red, so that's what got my attention.
Yeah. So when you have those events, definitely encourage you to consider a budget amendment, so you're planning for those things and accommodating for the change in facts.
Gotcha.
Yep. The other items we have are a couple letters. These are similar to what we've had in the past. First is called communication with governance letter. So this has a lot of standard language about the audit. We're completely independent, don't have any relationships with the district outside of this contract for the audit. Significant accounting policies, significant estimates. Not much to point out here. Pretty standard stuff. Also, the audit adjustments. So anytime auditor proposes adjustments, those will be listed in the back of the letter. Okay. 3 audit adjustments. It's not a lot. Okay. So,
A+.
Okay.
she does a good job with the accounting.
I don't understand the journal entries.
Okay.
Due from tax collector, and then you offset it with deferred inflows. So, I don't know why, okay, we're given an amount that the tax collector says we're going to get. Okay, and then we base our budget on that amount. On receiving, actually we base it on 93%, because in the event that there's shortfalls in collections or whatever, we allow for that. Some years we've hit the 93%, some years we went 94% and didn't hit the 94%. Last year I think we did hit 94, a little more than 94. But I don't understand, what is this $266,000? Where did that come from? I mean, what is that number?
Yeah, that came from a confirmation with the county tax collector and assessor. Okay, so they have a number, they've got the total assessment and uncollected, and they give us that. You got a receivable, literally to the dollar, okay? So we make sure that your books agree to that. And this adjustment was necessary to agree your receivable to that number. That's for the first part. So this is a debit to a receivable and a credit to what's called in here a deferred inflow. For the sake of making it easy, let's call it a liability. It's a balance sheet adjustment. We're not hitting any property tax revenue or anything like that. What we're doing is we're making sure your receivable is as the county says that you are owed from your taxpayers, the property taxes. And that's what they're tasked with tracking.
That's collected, that's owed.
That's owed to you. So this is a receivable. The reason we're offsetting it with a liability rather than revenue, which is intuitively we think, hey, I'm owed more tax revenue. Well, that's more tax, or sorry, I have more receivable for tax revenue. That's revenue. Why not offset it with revenue? Well, we don't offset it with revenue. It's deferred inflows, because if it's not collectible within 60 days, then it's not realizable. Right. So that's a modified accrual. And then the other reason, and you can see it in the report, that you have deferred inflows are because you're at 12/31. Okay, I've got a lot more ESDs that are 9/30s. So their levies are set after year end, which makes it a little cleaner and easier for accounting, but you're collecting tax levy that's relating to your next budget year.
Right.
So all that, none of that is recognized as revenue here, because that's got to match. If y'all remember, I know you do, Mr. Smith, the accounting matching, right? We're going to match revenues to expenditures. So if we're collecting early, so 12/31/24, we're collecting early on tax revenue that's got to fund that next year. So we don't want to blow through that and show that revenue here. So that's another reason for deferred inflows that are specific to 12/31s.
Okay, so that's the next journal entry then.
Yeah, that's really what's going on with these first two journal entries, are adjusting your tax collectibles to match the county, and then making sure we've deferred anything you collected on that tax levy to be used in 25, which you're using right now. We don't want to recognize that revenue early. Okay. That's what those first two are.
Yeah. Okay, and the last one. Okay.
That was accrued for last year, so this adjustment was required to basically match prior year. It was accrued for last year due to the
right.
time.
Okay, yeah, that's when we bought that tanker for $597. Okay, I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for your questions. Yeah, and before or after, welcome any other questions as well.
I've got some more questions.
Yeah.
But let me give you a phone call or something, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, overall,
please do.
Good budget, good audit.
Well, yeah, and that's one thing to clarify, not to go back in any comments, but we, the budget is y'all's document, right? I'm not present when y'all adopt the budget. Y'all do what you will. Different districts do it different ways. We're tasked with making sure that this report reports what y'all adopted accurately, and if there are any budget amendments, that information is properly accounted for here, and it's displayed as such, okay? But as far as the accounting, I mean, it's a little bit subjective, but, 3 adjustments is good. And so that's good work. And some of this, property tax is, it's just getting those counties reports, which we confirm after the fact, so it makes it a little easier for us to do. But certainly could do it. It's just whether they'll get good information timely, and I'm sure they would. So.
Y'all do ours too. Y'all have an insight on getting that information.
Yeah. Moving forward, recommendations.
Yeah, so closing process, so anytime we have those audit adjustments, we're real conservative. We're going to cite, hey, let's look at those things. Let's always improve. So and that's kind of what I was touching on there. Hey, I think y'all are right there. I'd love to come and have no adjustments, right? And it's not far. And I'll tell you, for an ESD, that's good. There's a number that I've got a lot more. So you're really close. So working on that closing process on those items, and y'all are obviously unique. A lot of ESDs are, one fire department. Y'all.
Why don't you tell us how we're unique?
I think y'all know, right?
No, I mean,
I don't usually have an audience
there's a lot of
size.
people right now, a lot of other things going on. So It'll
Yeah.
probably be helpful to a lot of people in the room and then that are gonna
Yeah.
be tuning in or watching us, so.
Well, I mean, the fact that you all have so much area, so many different chiefs, and that you're a taxing authority, right? So that's unique in itself. Most ESDs are typically one fire department, and it's usually just much more concentrated. And so, you know,
Definitely one budget for fire versus 9.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, sir. So, yeah, but it's interesting to me. I enjoy seeing it. Yeah, I wish you all well, and certainly encourage your questions too. You know, obviously I'm here to let you all know governmental accounting, how it works, and anything there. Like I said, I think Denise does a great job, and there's areas that you know can take a little further. So, absolutely.
Well, we thank you.
Yeah, thank you all.
Your
Appreciate your time.
staff was great again this year.
Good.
Everything was.
Thank you.
Everything was fine-tuned and.
Yeah. Matt had a baby like right toward the end there,
Yes,
but
he did, yeah.
other than that. Sir.
Yeah, and just so you guys know, in the audience, this is a very in-depth thing that we go through. I mean, it's not just a few things that he looks at. He looks at all of our numbers. He looks at all of our deposit backup, all of our expenditure. I send the packets from the fire departments, the check backup, and everything that I do has to match what I say that it does. And so you guys can rest assured that our finances are in amazing shape. So.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Denise.
Brian, can I say something real quick? I know, if you ever get audited and you don't have a finding of some kind, you need to find a new auditor. Because I go through several audits a year at work. If you ain't finding something, then they're not doing their job.
That's true. Thank you, sir. All right, moving on to item B, review and take action to propose the District 2025 ad valorem tax rate and set the date for public hearing and adoption of tax rate.
Mr. President, you need to approve the audit as presented.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right, we've got to take action on it, so going back to item A, do we have a motion to approve the audit?
I so move.
We got a motion, a second. Do we have any discussion on it? All in favor? 3-0. Now on to item B. Sorry about that, guys.
So I talked to Mr. Peeler about this since he wasn't going to be here, and he said since this is just the proposal, that you as a board just need to propose the tax rate and then set the meeting date. And I asked him if it could be on August the 18th. And he says, I don't think the newspaper notice will run in time to do the public hearing and adopt on 8/18. So they should schedule for 8/25, that's the last day to adopt in excess of the voter approval rate. So I would assume that he means that you guys would have the public hearing and adopt at our regular meeting on the 18th, but then we'd have to have a special meeting on the 25th.
The 25th, he said the 25th is the last date.
So they should schedule for 8/25. That's the last day to adopt.
Last day to adopt, okay.
That calendar is very, very tricky. You have to do
Yeah, I
something
remember
for
it.
5 days and something for 30, and after the newspaper runs, and so,
You know about it, huh?
yeah, it's fun.
Okay. So we need to propose it tonight?
Correct.
Yeah.
Is it in their form or something we have?
No, he said simply propose a tax rate, and then we'll go from there with the public hearing.
Proposed tax rate of the same?
Yeah, yes.
That's what you're making a motion?
I so move. We keep the same tax rate.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor? Tax rate the same. And then we need to schedule it for...
Is 8/25 doable?
It is for me.
Yeah.
What time?
It doesn't matter.
I prefer morning. Do 0600.
Yeah, right.
If 0600 means 6 a.m., then
That's when I'm most lucid, in the morning time. What time do you want to do, Mike? 9, 10?
10's better than 9.
Okay. Way better than 6? We got it.
Yeah.
so.
It don't matter.
You may get a 10?
It don't matter.
10 a.m.?
10 a.m. will work. The 25th?
Yeah.
Yep. Let me put that in right now.
When did we have that meeting? July the 14th. Okay.
Next meeting is the 18th, right?
August.
Do we need any more action on it, or that's it?
That's it.
August 25th, 10 a.m.
And then, so you'll run it in the papers when? On the 18th or no?
I'm gonna have to get with him exactly. I've got to look at the truth in taxation calendar and make sure that everything.
Yeah, I gotta be honest, I've never really understood how that.
Yeah, I'll get everything in line, make sure that.
Kind of a weird schedule.
Yeah, it is. It's very good.
All right, adoption of tax rate. We're keeping it the same, not going up on anything, not that we could. Item C, review and take action to approve the hiring of a duty crew for Jacinto County ESD Fire Department. All right. Mike, if you guys want to spin around the other side, I messed up a long time ago and did a PowerPoint, and now people like it and want me to continue to do it, so I'll do that, and y'all can follow along with what's in your packet.
May have to turn the TV back on.
They went to sleep on me.
The remote's right there to your left.
There you go.
Jeff, you want to come up here and be the IT guy and put it on the input? I got the HDMI plug, but I just don't have it.
As soon as it should detect.
There you go.
Yeah, it's on ATM.
There you go. Did you print a copy of this? No.
It's sitting anyway. So this is the Jacinto County ESD Fire Department duty crew proposal. What the purpose is to establish a duty crew program to augment, not replace the volunteer fire service that we have today. Like I said, we're not trying to push anybody out. We're trying to augment and pick up the slack of the areas. We know that we have coverage gaps out there. Kind of a case in point, just recently, one of the recent calls that we just seen was, how many days ago, Curtis, were you at? Yesterday morning. So those of you that are familiar with the territory around these parts, you know where Slade Street is in relation to the Coldspring Fire Department. It's relatively close. The call come out at 3 o'clock in the morning, and it ended up being an entrapment. Coldspring got their tone around 3:30 or so in the morning. Ended up having a crew of 1 respond in a fire engine out there. Camilla Fire Department, they got tones as well. Kind of looked at the times. I don't know them exact right offhand, but I know, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that you was there. It's roughly around 25 minutes or so for that first 1 person arrived on scene, and then Curtis and his crew of 2 arrived and assisted with them. And I think total extrication time was just shy of an hour by about 5 or 6 minutes. And they had to do a roof roll and pop some doors on it. This is not a slam at anybody. I mean, you guys are out there, you guys are at home, you're waking up out of the middle of the night, coming up here to run these calls, and we get it. You can't just sit around the station, just waste all your days away waiting on a call to come up here for it to come out, not knowing when it's going to be. And this is one of them areas right here, and this isn't just yesterday. a lot of days. This is every week, every month. These calls happen to where had you had a fire crew, a duty crew that was stationed in Cold Springs who can get to the majority of the call volume in the county. Now I know there's some outreached areas that it's going to take them 30, 40 minutes of running hot, but on average where we're seeing the call volume and that along with EMS, and generally speaking, 15, 20 minutes in either direction, you can have a crew of 3 or 4 paid staff members to do that. And once again, it's to augment and to fill in them coverage gaps while you guys are at work, while you guys are providing child care for your children and your families, or at the doctors or wherever you're at. So it's not to push anybody out, but it's to cover them gaps. We have a large county, our call volume is growing, our population is growing, them service needs are coming. So we talked about the critical coverage gaps. These are trained professional firemen. So most of these people that come in, that's why we use the term duty crew. They've already been trained by somebody else. Most of them have 10, 15, 20, 30 years of service. There's a good portion of these people that live right here inside of this county and this community. There's a good portion of them same people that are already working a duty crew somewhere else in somebody else's community. And I've done spoke with a large number of them, and they would love nothing more than if they've got to work a duty crew somewhere to work right here in their own county. Like I said, they've already got the training, the education, the experience to do these things, and these guys come from all the way down south as far as Galveston and Pearland and Baytown, Beaumont, Houston, Humble, Conroe, you name it, in just about any direction. So we don't have to send them in any schools. We don't have to get them trained on anything. Chief Matthews gets with them, does a radio class, and what bit of operation our radios will do and perform. And then those that aren't familiar with the territory and the districts, they'll be trained up on that by him. Volunteers remain essential. We're always welcoming volunteers, but as we talked about in our last presentation and in our last workshop, we're on a nationwide decline. It's not this county, it's every single county around us. Years ago, I just spoke not too long ago, been picking the brain of one of our original members on for San Jacinto County EMS and Shepherd EMS, Michael Mason, the past couple of days. Some of you guys may know him as PK. And we're talking about the inception of the San Jacinto County EMS, which was all volunteer at one part, before the ESD was founded and funded to provide emergency medical services in the county. And through decline in volunteerism and through funding and some other issues, it just didn't sustain. And then Shepherd picked up the ball when San Jacinto County EMS folded, and they run it for a good while, and then the budget wasn't good. Ended up going over budget by something around the tune, I believe he reminded me of about $300,000 or $400,000. And so it too didn't sustain. And the problem is just like any other volunteer organization, there's no guarantee of when you're going to be able to have people cover the areas. And so there's lots of tales, and everybody has. Yes, sir?
He forgot some of that because that went to a paid service before it.
Right. Anyway, it ended up going to paid services, Wayne said, but it didn't make it. And a lot of it is because of the way that it was incepted. It was no fault to any of these people. I know quite a few of them, all great people willing to serve their citizens and their communities just like you guys do. But without the training and the qualifications and then the due diligence on the budgets and the staffing and everything else, it just wasn't able to sustain itself. And then that's when we started going to paid EMS, which we're all paid EMS, but we still, one thing has withstood, we've been paid EMS since the early 2000s. Okay, so it's 25 years. And one thing that we still have, and which is actually better today than it was back then, is we have a first responder organization, San Jacinto County First Responders. They still run, we still have active members, and Chief Cook can tell you, some years we have people, there's a lot more people that respond and respond to calls, and then other years it's just not as good, it ebbs and flows. But these two services and organizations work together, but to fill in that gap, and now we're up to 350, 400 calls a month, EMS calls, we have the county's EMS provider that we contract with, that we pay to provide that service. And so this is along the same lines. We don't have something like that to augment the coverage gaps for the fire. So the burden is all upon you guys, and it's very, very stressful, and you're set inside of a system right now. It's going to be a little bit better, okay, once we all consolidate, and we'll receive the benefits of that later on down the road, but first we got to get started. But this right here, we're really going to see it, because not just if it's in Shepherd or Cold Springs, anywhere in the county. If somebody calls and gets a first tone, they're not able to respond, or they don't respond with a crew of 2 or 3 of a vehicle fire and entrapment into a vehicle, you'll have a crew of 3 people responding. They're trained, they're experienced. And if, let's say, Cold Spring picks up, or Shepherd, or Pumpkin Evergreen, and they go on location, with it being a minor MVA, no entrapment, no injuries, they can turn around and disregard that other crew. But if they don't arrive, or they don't go en route, they're right down the road. They're already on the way. So I spoke in depth with the members from Veristic Analytics today. So this is all a little bit new to me. I've always known about ISO ratings and the PPC ratings, and for those of you that don't know, that's how you get they set your insurance premiums for your fire rates. Well, so Texas Department of Insurance, they contract with a private company they are the parent company of ISO, and that's the Veristic Analytics. And speaking with them today about all the things that go into place about your ISO ratings and what this duty crew would mean, it significantly, whenever they're doing this, they basically do a survey, and they look at many different things, but they look at how many apparatus a particular fire department for a service area has. They look at, is it paid or is it volunteer? Do you have hydranted areas? If you don't have hydranted areas, do you have the ability to successfully move water? And so one of the things they look at when they're doing a big survey like this is they look and they pull some reports from structure fire, so on and so forth, as we talked about in the last session that we had, and they look at these things. And so you automatically get more points for having a paid crew and a paid staff there 24/7, 365. And that's because, as you can see, as the run times of the call that we just mentioned earlier, and it was 15, 20 minutes for one person to even get to the station. Whereas in being a fire truck, they'll be given 80 seconds shoot time. Within 80 seconds, they'll be out of the house, and they'll be on the way to that emergency and be able to effectively put people and water and apparatus on the fire scene. So what does this mean by actually having a lower ISO rating? Well, this means property saving, or savings of people's money, their insurance premiums all across the county. And so while it would directly affect Cold Springs in a very positive way, it would aid and affect the other areas and surrounding areas as well. Now, it couldn't push them, by them being there, not necessarily push them up over what their primary number or designation is already going to be. But once they start looking at the system as a whole, and then also they told me the difference between one fire department or 9 individual different fire departments, all them things factor in as well. When they start seeing reports and this truck is able to actually get on scene with firefighters and moving water, and that starts showing up in more and more of these reports as personnel, manpower, water, apparatus, and the appropriate type of apparatus and personnel, this is all going to factor in helping and aiding everybody's ratings. I tried to pin him down and get him to give me something concrete and solid, but as he explained that he would never do that in a million years, he was certain that this is the way that it was, but until an actual survey is done and they actually come out and put the numbers to it, they wouldn't. And rightfully so. I was just hoping to get lucky. It would look nice to have a nice chart or pie graph up here that showed that. But so what is the duty crew? We already kind of covered this. They're experienced career firefighters, contracted to staff a station and respond to calls. Most extensive experience in other departments. and that's where they receive most of all their training. Stationed at Coldspring to cover service gaps, and so a lot of people think, well, this is, you guys are pushing Cold Springs out and you're moving this in. This is a complete separate entity from the Cold Springs situation. Had that building never been sold or anything like that had ever occurred, this is something that I've been talking about for over 10 years and getting a bunch of dirty looks over it, okay? But every county around us is going to this because they're having the need for it and they have the resources to be able to do it. So this is separate from that. So we could adopt and to go back, Cold Springs could stay in, they could merge over with us, or not merge, but consolidate with the county department. They could still be there in the same trucks, running the same amount of calls and working side by side these men and women that are going to come in. But it's necessary, regardless of them. And once again, can't say it enough, it's not to push anybody out. And Cold Spring being the first one, part of me, would like to say Shepherd doesn't really have the facilities to do so. Shepherd, they run the majority of the calls. They really do. And while I'd like to put them there, I mean, that's one of my areas over there. We don't have the area right now as far as a place to put them, but even more so, while it would benefit Shepherd, Shepherd does have a pretty good response and a pretty good turnout for the most part. As far as even responses in the middle of the night, they have a pretty good turnout. But the main thing is because centering them in Cold Springs, being the only paid, predictable, 24/7 asset, fire service asset in the county, around the clock, it's going to benefit the entire county versus any particular district out there because they're centralized. And they can go in any direction they need to and split the difference to come to the other stations or other districts' needs. So the oversight and command, how does this work? Well, they'd have to report directly to the fire chief because of TCFP compliance. All these guys are state firefighter, they're paid. So our department, the San Jacinto County ESD Fire Department, is a TCFP, it's a commissioned fire department, so they have to report to him. However, they can receive operational direction, and this will come down to the SOGs and the policies, which we'll dump all on the chief's lap. That's what his job is to do. He's to write these where it works in and get with his command staff whenever that's picked from the volunteers out there from the different districts. We talked about deputy chiefs and what their roles were last time. So deputy chiefs and the fire chief will get together and they'll write their operational model, and we'll figure out where they plug into that or where the chief wants them. But these guys will take orders from them. These guys will take orders from the deputy chiefs on scene. You assistant chiefs that's on scene that's out there running an MBA, running entrapment. If you have incident command systems set up in place, which right now doesn't always happen, or sometimes it does, sometimes it don't. But there's an incident command system in place, and there's a command presence. These guys will literally walk up and say, "Where's IC? Who's in command?" You say, "Oh, I'm in command." Or maybe you hear them saying that they arrived on scene or they're level 1 staged or whatever it is, and you can tell them, you can give them their pre-arrival instructions or you can give them their orders. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to follow their orders. And so the reason why they're going to do that is because they're professionals. And if they didn't follow orders, they wouldn't be currently working somewhere else. Now, some of the problems that I know, I see some head noddings and some scowls out there, some of the problems that people have heard in the horror stories, and I've been part of it. I've witnessed it in the transition between volunteer and combination departments and duty crews. When I worked in a place not very far from here, not going to go naming names, but they were transitioned from all volunteer to duty crews and paid staff. And so the volunteers wasn't getting along with the paid guys, and the paid guys wasn't getting along with the volunteers, and there were some problems and issues on scene. And this come from, most of the time, especially on a scene, which Chief Matthews is on board with me, this can never happen on scene, okay? When there wasn't a command presence, when the person showed up or the duty crew showed up and they didn't know who was in command, they just got people just running around everywhere. There seems like there's a lot of freelancing going on, and it's the same thing with me. If I show up on a scene tomorrow at work, we're taught to pick up the ball and fill in the gap. If I notice somebody's stumbling or fumbling, or they're not, the objectives aren't getting met, where I usually step back and let other people handle it, myself or somebody else will step in that gap and say, this is what we're going to do. Command hadn't been taken, I'm going to go ahead and assume command. Okay, that's where you're going to see them problems and issues, but that's nothing that we can't work through and train through. But I can promise you this, them people that's coming on board, they're going to be professional. Why? Because that's one of our core values. That's the only way we accomplish our mission. That's the only way we accomplish our vision is by following them 4 core values. If a person doesn't support that and uphold that, what are they? They're a detriment to the mission. So Chief Matthews is going to relieve them, and if he doesn't, I'm not going to do it in the meeting because I've done it enough, but we know what's going to happen. Oh, Denise has got the counter. But these are the things that's going to happen. We're all going to work together, okay? And these things are usually pretty easy to spot, and the thing is that the people that cause them type of problems in other areas, and some of them wasn't any of them instances, it was just a case of somebody just, and I know because I see the head noddings out there, it was just a case of some people think that, you know, career guys think that they're just better than volunteers, they do it for a living, they're paid, and they've had all this training, and they're something and you're nothing. Are there career guys out there that have that type of mentality? Absolutely, 100%, yes they are. I've witnessed it with my own eyes. However, once again, here I am with a camera right here in my face, so I'm on the record of saying it. First of all, Chief Matthews and myself, we know that the fire service all over this entire state, and actually just the entire world, it's a very, very small community. I can go into, I know people right now in Galveston, and I've heard the names, and I've been around these people, and people move around, they go in different places, and they move all over, and people duty crew sometimes 50, 100 miles from each other. And so we know the people that are going to be coming into this, and we already know people that there would be issues and problems with. Then people are not going to get an invite. And if that does happen, what do they now become? Do we just say, oh, they're career guys, we're just going to let them do what they want? Guess what? They're still a detriment to the mission if they don't work with each and every single one of you out there. So if you're out there being professional and upholding the core values and protecting the mission, because we put the mission first above ourselves, right? If you're out there doing that and they're not doing it, who's going to leave? They're going to be gone, I can assure you. And then there are checks and balances to make sure that that happens. And it happens every single day. And that's how we change a culture in a particular area. That's how the culture in the fire service has been changing. Not just here in this county, but all over the country. Volunteers, availability. I should have all caps availability, because I don't want the last word to distract anybody. The inconsistency comes from the availability. And we've talked about that before. It's at no fault to your own. Here it is, Monday night at 8 o'clock, and we got all these people in here. Everybody's questioning anybody's commitment out here to serve. I'm pretty sure everybody out here has something else better that they could do, or something else that's a lot more fun. So we know that everybody's out here for the right reason, but you have lives, you have families that you have obligations to, and because you volunteer doing this, most of you have to make your living doing something entirely different. And so you can't always sit at the station and wait on a call. So that's what we talk about with availability being inconsistent. Okay, and I don't think that's any big secret. Cannot guarantee service levels with a $3 million budget. So once again, I talked about this in the last presentation. Well, we throw $3 million at this system that we have called Fire and Emergency Services. We throw $3 million at it. We could throw $6 million at it in the current system we got now, and we're still going to be hard pressed to find something consistent out there, because we're still dealing inside of the same system with inconsistent availability. You know, several years ago it was $2 million, and years before that it was $1 million. Doesn't matter how much money you throw at something, if the system's not good, the system is bad or flawed, it's not going to make the difference where we need to make it. So we'll talk more about that later, but So we throw $3 million at it, and we give or take a few percent, but if taking a 10% of a budget and actually being able to guarantee something, that's a pretty good exchange in my book. So staffing and roles, 2 to 3 members per shift, depending on volunteer participation. So what this looks like is that the first 2 positions that we would want to staff inside that fire truck in the Cold Springs area, that's going to be your driver operator position, and it's going to be your officer position. And so these people, as we kind of talked about already, these people are already going to be qualified. Most of these people are already going to have them roles and responsibility at the jobs they're coming from. So not only are they already doing that job, but they're state level certified to be a driver operator. They went through extensive training and testing and qualifications to be able to do that, and that's what they do for a living every single day. And so them are the people that we're going to put in the front. Where we have volunteers that are actually going to staff, and we talked about staffing earlier as far as moving forward, we have volunteers that have already come up and expressed themselves to me that they want to be a part of this process moving forward, and they would actually like to go on to be a career firefighter. They want to be able to work on their training books and their task books. Well, as a bonus, these typical roles of people that are been driver operators, maybe captains. We've got district chiefs, we got battalion chiefs that live right here in this very county. A lot of them have volunteered here in this county for many, many years, and that's where a lot of them got their start. You don't get to them officers level without being an instructor. And then the officer positions, some of them are instructor 2s, some of them are instructor 3s. So not only could you do just facilitate basic instruction, you could do entire classes and programs underneath these people, and these people are already on board and ready to come aboard. So they would take, and we would encourage volunteers that are looking to get their task book signed off on, or some documented training, okay, that's going to count towards their firefighter 1 or their firefighter 2, or maybe they're in an EMT class, because all these guys that are coming aboard duty crew, they're all at minimum EMTs, but you're going to see an influx of probably 50% or greater will be paramedics as well. They're also instructors in them facets, so they're going to be able to work with these people. So not only these people are going to be actually staffing a truck with these people, but they're going to be also receiving training and education and teaching them how to do their job, because that's what we do in the fire service, is we try to leave it better than what we found it. So it don't do any good to have all the information or all the experience come to us if it's not going through us. So we're going to pass this down to the next generation as well and help build these people up and get them credentialed to where they can be up in the front of the truck. They have their Class B license now because they've had a guy that's been a driver operator for 10 years, letting him drive now that he has his permit, and then showing him what the residual pressure should be whenever he's pumping, all right, and how to properly and efficiently run these trucks to their most extensive capabilities without damaging them or tearing them up. And it's going to allow them to actually get their certifications and qualifications so they can move forward inside of this department. So these are just some basic qualifications. Once again, I didn't want to muddle up the entire screen with all the qualifications that these guys are going to have, but it's actually, for the most part, most of it's going to be 3 and 4 pages long. Some of these people's resumes and certifications, qualifications are going to be pages and pretty extensive. But they're going to be at basic level, TCFP certified. You're going to see a lot of people, though, that are already intermediates, a lot of advanced, and you're going to see quite a few actually master firefighters as well that'll be coming into the system. On the state medical side, they're going to be at least a basic, EMT basic, but once again, you'll see some paramedics out there as well, which, talking about that right there, once we get the consolidation portion of this ironed out, we can actually work with Chief Cook, whether that's consolidating underneath us or keeping her where she's at in the org chart, but getting the fire trucks actually labeled as a BLS response truck, or possibly in the future, if we show a promised enough organization to a medical director. Medical directors are funny. You can ask Monty or anybody that deals with one out there. They went to school for many, many years to become a medical doctor. They have reluctancies to just sign their name off on 150 different providers that could possibly get them in trouble or lose their license they've worked hard to earn for years. So there are medical directors that will sign off not just on BLS protocols, but ALS protocols. And what that means is that fire truck, when there's not any ambulances in the county, whether we have 3 or 7, but they're all gone, and somebody's going down at the courthouse with a heart attack, that fire truck can show up with cardiac drugs and a cardiac monitor. They can start an IV on this person, and they can start giving them first-round cardiac drugs, or if they need to intubate them or protect an airway, they can do it at the paramedic level. Same thing that an ambulance does. The only thing they can't do is transport. But when that ambulance finally does get there, they've already got an IV started, they're already on the cardiac monitor, they've already been intubated, airway secured, got their medications done, and that patient is then handed off. They're stabilized. We can get that, but medical directors like to see a high level of structure and organization before they go signing off on it. So right now, we're not going to get it right now. System gets put in place, runs for a little bit, they start seeing it, they put some faith and trust into it, then they'll go ahead and they'll sign off on the BLS process of it. Once that happens and they see that that runs smoother, because there's a lot less liabilities at the basic level than there is the advanced level. Once they see that, we can move towards that. And then in the future, it won't be just this truck. There'll be other fire trucks that have them capabilities too, that will also be inside of the staffing and the programs that we have, so people will know which truck it is whenever it's being dispatched. But that goes into dispatch, and that's a whole nother segment of operations we'll have to deal with there. Every one of these people that are coming on board will have Class B exempt driver's license, so they're legal and valid to drive these fire trucks up and down the road by the state of Texas. Unlike where we're at right now, we have about 90% or greater of people driving to the gas pumps, driving and returning home from calls that are illegal. And that could put us in very precarious situations if they run over somebody, hit somebody, with problems with the insurance and stuff. Anybody that drives any of these trucks will be DOT qualified, which means they'll go through the extensive level of training, knowing how to effectively and efficiently pump the trucks. And all these guys already got all these things. And then you'll see all of them that are in the officer level position. They'll have Fire Officer 1 all the way up to Fire Officer 4. These are career or retired professionals. If you got a guy that comes out and he's worked as a fireman for 30 years and he still has a cert that's active, and wants to participate, maybe he says, you know what, I'm not going to, I don't want to ride the seat, and I don't want to ride in the back, but I was a driver operator for 30 years, and I can get water out of that truck, and I can operate every tool on it, and I want to ride in that position, and they meet all the qualifications and requirements. I think that they're just as good as well. The same goes for the current departments on the volunteer side as well. Use people where we can use them and benefit with them, as long as their qualifications and certifications are good. So the duty crew models, we got essentially the three models to pick from here. I went to the first model that I created, so there's actually initially 4, but I didn't want to have a mass casualty EMS event in here and everybody falling on the floor. So I went ahead and narrowed it down to 3 because that first number and ticket item was pretty hefty. I know a gentleman out here said that he did the calculation. He said it was $1 million, and he wasn't wrong to do actually what if we paid a company $50,000 to come in here and do a consultant study for us, and they told us what it was actually going to take to put us where we needed to be with the duty crew and a volunteer program. This man, one of these men right here, these young men, their numbers would have been right. Okay, it would have been up there to $1 million, north of $1 million. Model 1 is 24/7, and what that gets you is that gets you 3 personnel a day, 24/7, 365, and this is tax, title, and license. This is their Social Security. Had Mike where you had Mike run the numbers, and he can go into that after the meeting if anybody wants to go into it. But that's the rough number for that, $520K a year. Yeah. Model 2 is we're getting 2 a day, and it's really important, like we talked about earlier. One fireman on a fire truck is a system that is putting a firefighter in a very precarious situation to get hurt, injured, killed, and make a ton of mistakes. None of the training that we do, none of the mandates we do, none of the qualifications and regulations that we do is done as an individual. And so while we know that it's not safe to conduct certain operations alone, when you show up and there's a need for somebody and that person's dying, are you gonna be the person that just sits there and is like, oh, I really gotta wait on my extra person? I don't think that there's a person in this room that's gonna do that. You're gonna go ahead and take them risks out there to do whatever it takes to actually help that patient. I know it because I've been put in them same situations myself. But what that comes down to is our system putting us in a bad spot, and we should never put just one person in there. And that's what we had, and that's what we had that night. Luckily, we had another truck show up. We had a total of 3 on there.
We would have 4, but we had an LZ that got canceled.
I understand completely. I understand completely. And like I said, I know everybody's got things to do, and this is not a dig at any volunteer or any person in this room. So Model 2, that gives us that's 370K a year. It gives us 2 people a day, 24/7, 365. And this is where we're going to count on some of these volunteers. We've already had quite a few people. There's even some paid people out there that have said that they would come and volunteer some of their time. Not a whole lot of them, but there are a few people. I would be one of them because I will never, once again on camera, I will never collect not one single penny from any system or organization that I help be a part of and create this county. This is not what this is about. So once this is all leveled with and I retire or quit from the board or get pulled from the board or whatever the case is, I'll just pack up some gear and I'll come up here and I'll volunteer. I'll let the chief give me a classification and I'll come volunteer 2 or 3 24-hour days of my time and come right on the back of this place. Why? Because I have family and friends in every corner of this county. And I know how to do some of it. And so I'm going to go be a part of that. There's not a whole lot of people out there, but there are a few that are going to do that. So we staff the back side of that with the volunteers. Even on the top side, if we're requiring to have 3 a day, that's the highest number possible. If we have 10 days that come in and we have people that are willing to staff and want to come up there and say, hey, I want to ride for 24 hours. I want to be the first one to the scenes because we're leaving right from the station. Make some good calls, work with some good experienced guys that are instructors that are going to sign off my book and train me and educate me to move me to the next level. Then we don't have to pay that 3rd person on there. We can get away with it. And then once some of them people are trained in the back as well to ride up and to drive, and we have a qualified driver, once again, we don't have to pay them if we can cover that staff spot. Model 3, this is right here, this is what's a 12/5/250. So it's 12 hours a day, 5 days a week, and roughly about 250 days out of the year. $200,000 a year is what we're looking at cost to get this right here. This is less than 10% of what our $3 million budget is, and it's going to give us a lot of responses, and not just regular response. It's going to give us responses with people that are completely qualified, completely trained. That's going to be helping others. It's going to be helping volunteers and augmenting this system and taking a lot of burdens away from you guys. Not just from answering up calls that you just physically can't be at because you have other obligations. Because they're going to help you with training. They're going to help you with education. That's going to be part of their job responsibilities to do. PPE and uniform cost. Obviously, we got to provide gear. I spoke with Chief Matthews. I spoke with some other chiefs out here in the audience too, who are on board with this. Contrary to some popular belief out there, we've got a good response from a lot of fire chiefs and a lot of fire department people in our county that believe that the duty crew is necessary and it's long overdue. So what we decided is that we're already taxed. We've seen so much that we've spent in gear and PPE for people that at the end of the year we write a check to them for their stipend check, and we show that they responded to 1 call for the whole year. And we appreciate that 1 call, we do. But on this paid side, if we're going to purchase them $4,500, $5,000 worth of gear and uniforms, they're not just going to show up and just run one 12-hour, one 24-hour shift for the year. They're going to be required and mandated to give us at least 48 hours of availability a month. And if they can't, it's just like anybody else. It's no fault to them. This place just isn't for you. For us to invest this much, $5K right up front, we're going to say, you're going to give us so many days a month. And that's going to keep our roster lower, okay? We're going to be able to do more with less money, less than what we've seen in the past. So funding and logistics, this is actually really cool. This is something that we're going to be able to apply a lot more now, having a mixing consolidation of departments and duty crew, I know, but they're intertwined. They work together. The funding and the sales tax that we have right now, we could get $500K out of that. There's also, sales tax and contingency. There's also safer grants out there. And so I don't know how many people are out there that are familiar with the safer grants, but it's basically a grant for staffing and for apparatus and fire stations and things like that for the exact program and models that we're talking about right now. These are, and so when they start looking at safer grants, well, they want to see that you're commissioned. They want to see that the people that they're providing grants and funding for have certifications and have qualifications. Well, guess what? This organization that we're moving towards will have all that things, and that's going to open us up to a whole lot more opportunities out there. So if we was to implement it and go live with it in, say, 30 days, temporary housing be the ESD office if you're doing a 12-hour crew. If you're doing a 24-hour crew, it needs to do something different. Me, myself, and I don't think if you're a Houston fireman, you've worked out of a trailer. If you're a Beaumont fireman, you worked out of a trailer. If you're Humble or Pearland or Alaska, you've worked out of a little teeny tiny FEMA tax trailer for months on end, waiting on a station or waiting on wine. So none of that stuff matters when you're talking about temporary, because what comes first? Having a place to keep the water off your head, being able to go to the bathroom, wash your hands, eat a meal, but most of all, getting up and doing what you're there and paid to do, which is get up and run calls and be out the door in a timely manner. So I know a lot of people say, well, you can't just do this and just put somebody in a FEMA trailer. No, absolutely we can. Because the people that sign up for this, they sign up for that very mission, and if they've been doing this any period of time, they've already had to do it more than once probably in their career. So we could do a temporary housing like that. Done spoke with the mayor. Mayor is a great guy. Talked to him probably about a week or so ago on the way to Huntsville. Of course, he wants to see how a lot of other different things play out, but as he said more than once to me is, I'm not looking to get into the fire and EMS service. Whatever's done with the building on our behalf is going to be done for fire and EMS, so nothing's really off the table. So there's another option, is that we sign an interlocal agreement, since they now own the building. We can sign an interlocal agreement just like we do with Shepherd and other areas, and we could house them people in there. They wouldn't need much, small portion to actually put in somewhat sort of a day room, place to take a shower, a bathroom, and then some place we can put racks or bunk beds in. Facility outfitting, this is your bunk beds. They'll bring all their own bedding and all their stuff. They're actually very, very low maintenance when it comes to this kind of stuff. They'll bring all that stuff with them. We just need a place for them to lay their head. Need some bunk beds, couch, a few recliners for whoever's in there, maybe a TV, coffee table, refrigerator, things like that. So you're looking at about 10 grand for facility outfitting. Mike, you'll need to put all these numbers together at the end so you don't get bored. The benefit, you got guaranteed response. It's just, that goes without saying. You call 911, and I get it because I hear it all the time. Well, what if they're on another call? Well, the chances are that's going to happen. City of Houston has, I think it's all the way up to 108 stations in numbers, but they only got like 95 to 99 active stations. But let's call it 100. You know how many times out of the days that the adjoining departments around the area run their calls? The same thing with us, the same thing with everybody else. That's how this whole entire system works. But what we do know is that when a call comes in, if they're not already on a call, they're going to be there. The other morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, they would have been on their way, and so on and so forth, and with the fires and other things like that. Like I said, can't say it enough, they're here to support and augment volunteers, not to get rid of any volunteers. I know that's hard, and this is hard for a lot of people to see and understand, because most people, all they know, and this is not a dig at anybody, you know what you know, as the old saying goes. But if you haven't been outside of here and you haven't operated in these other capacities, and you haven't necessarily seen it. And I've seen it. I've seen the good parts of it and the bad parts about it. The good part is I have seen the bad parts. Chief Matthews and myself has already talked about the bad parts, so we kind of already know some of the areas to get around from even having to experience them. But when the bad parts do come up, which is going to be a lot fewer than any of the other cases around me that I've mentioned earlier, we're going to know exactly how to handle them. And in most cases, it's going to be, you've just been uninvited. We have a whole lot of people that want to come work here in their own community and around here. We're going to go with them people that support our mission, our vision, and our core values. Commitment, professionalism, honesty, and courage. Local professionals, they train the volunteers, boost community confidence. I mean, I've been hearing it for years, and I've been on this board for almost 10 years, and I've talked to a lot of people from one end of the county to the other. I know most of y'all are going to find that hard to believe that I talk to people out there, whether I'm at the grocery store or the gas station or wherever. But I do talk to a lot of people. A lot of people have my phone number, and I've gotten my butt chewed for all of the 10 years by people I call friends and family. How come you ain't doing this? How come we ain't doing this? How come we ain't got a paid fire department already? And for years, I'm just going to be honest with people, and I've said it once before. For years, I was a little timid. I was a little scared of where we're at right now because I knew where this was going. And I didn't have the heart to tell this people, like, well, we just ain't ready for it yet. Well, when are we going to be ready? Well, who's going to stand up and who's going to start this thing off? And then about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, I was faced with a crossroads and epiphany and a commitment and a conviction that I couldn't get away from. I was fixing to have to leave the ESD board or just go forward with this and never come back again. Because I couldn't continue to sit here and look everybody in the eyes thinking, why do we keep having these problems? Isn't there a better way? I know there's a better way. We know there's a better way out there, and this is how we get there together. So we're all just going to have to trust in the process. Next step, simple. Get a board approval, recruit and select the crew, gear procurement, briefings, and rollout. That's all there is to it. It really is. I know people are like, oh, there's so much more into it. First, you got to get the approval. Go ahead. We've got the rough numbers out there. We always go on with, as our audit man that was just here said, that we always start off super high and then we end up with some. We're very diligent with that, I can say, and good stewards of the budget of planning for high and then keeping it tight and then ending up with something left over for the day, and that's what we're going to do with this as well. Pretty sure that this has covered everything in there. But I'm going to pull this up. I know you guys want to take pictures of stuff, and I'll be able to email you this if you want as well. Try not to take up too much of your time. I know the last workshop we had was like 5 hours. We're going to try to do it less than that. But that was the highlight, and this right here, you know, if you want to take pictures of it, you can feel free to take pictures of that kind of stuff.
Brian,
Yes, ma'am.
can I ask a question?
Sure.
Do you have like a little bit of a timeline of when you want to get this done?
Well, it's a funny thing because that right there depends on what they call democracy, and that depends on what this rest of this board wants to talk about and move forward. So I think the first basis is the board really needs to find out is what Brian May said, do we buy into that? Is that true that this could really help our community by having people to respond in a moment's notice? So people really, on this board, and I granted we got a small board tonight, but that's what this board's here to do, is to find out is, does this hold weight? Does it hold merit? Could it help our taxpayers? Could it reduce people's insurance premiums? Could it extricate people 40, 50 minutes out of a car sooner? Could it respond to structure fires 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes sooner? With paid, qualified professionals. Could it help volunteers receive training and education and put them in a safer position? So if these people believe me and what I've seen and the things that I've said, then they make a decision. Once we make a decision like, yeah, this is something that we want to do as a board and move forward, then we start talking about the finites of where we're getting the money and what the time frame going forward looks like. You done heard what my time frame was 10 years ago. We're behind the 8th ball. Economic growth and development is coming to this county. It's already here. It's already here. So we needed it actually yesterday, and so that's where we're here as a board. So just going to run through this real quick. make sure that I didn't miss anything. You guys can take pictures if you want. My email address is simple. It's briandavidmay@yahoo.com. Feel free to send me an email and say I'd like a copy of this, and I will be happy to send it to you. Where's Mike at? Mike, did you get the copy in your packet?
Yes,
I guess I did, yes.
it's in everybody's packet.
Okay.
It's in everybody's.
Did everybody out here get one too?
No, just in the board's
I didn't
packets,
look.
but I have.
Right.
Yeah, I got it.
Commissioner, would you like one? One y'all?
He likes any kind of paperwork.
In case you dip out early, there you go. And Brian Davis, Yahoo, and I'll send you all of it. Okay.
See.
So I'm pretty sure that I covered everything in the PowerPoint, and yes, I did. And Mike, I just want to get you to double check them numbers real quick to make sure that they're on par. So I'll be honest with you, Mike does a really good job of sure the numbers and money. Both of these guys have a lot of things to bring to this board, as well as our other people that's not here right now, Ms. Russell and Mr. Eldridge. While these guys are looking over their stuff, I'm just going to tell you, when it comes to the budget side of it and the capital investments and the reports like that, it's not really my strong suit. In fact, some of these people have a lot more to bring to the board than what I do. I just have experience in fire and EMS in the different systems that are out there.
3 times 20.
And they actually figure out how to make it work and how to fund it. So while Mike's checking the numbers over here, I had something, to add to. And one of our speakers that was up here for public comment earlier was talking about where's the fairness to the taxpayers, and I know it was in relation to a lot of other questions out there, but fixing a broken system and then actually doing something with our money that's going to make a significant difference, that's what the fairness to the taxpayers is. And I know that was aimed at a specific another entity, which we'll actually get into more of that later. But this is what's going to be beneficial to the taxpayers, and this isn't really a guess or anything else or an opinion. This is what everybody else around us has been doing for many, many years, and this is how the fire service evolves in communities out there. As you guys heard from our auditor, he deals with the other parts of our local county government. He shows up, and then, yeah, we got a couple of things circled on it, but at the end it was a balanced budget, and we did a really, really good job. But in our defense, these other people, most people that have companies and stuff, they usually deal with a budget of what they call one. They deal with their budget. They deal with just a single budget for a department. We're trying to compile 9 different budgets, 10 different budgets out there, and frankly, the way that the data is given to us and the budget material is given with us and the validation process is given to us in 10 different ways as well. So everything that we do out there, because we are segregated, we just constantly fight an uphill battle with it.
I'm sorry. Just one positive comment. What you share as a taxpayer, what you share in terms of an inability to respond, a delay in response, those kind of things. When you begin to look at this year's track record, and you've got measurements and metrics on those, and you do that under the new system, and you have an opportunity to demonstrate that we're getting what we're paying for.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes.
And sometimes I think we skate past that, right, or people don't understand it, but if you put them down in just layman's terms, I think that would be an asset.
Yes, sir.
I mean, just,
I'll agree with you 100%.
it off the top, it improves response time. It goes to 60 seconds to roll a truck.
I don't think that.
Well, or a minute, or whatever. 2 minutes.
To piggyback back off of what Mr. Samoff Mr. Samoff said here, and I have to wear it. I wouldn't be, I learned years ago, thank you. I learned years ago that we're all on the same team, and when we leave an officers meeting in my job, it's we can argue and fight and discuss things in there, but when we leave the meeting and we go present the information to our guys, it's, when they have a problem with something, we say, hey, this is what it is that we're doing here, and this is what we decided on as a collective and as a group, and we all support that mission. But we know deep down inside of that group, we're like, I couldn't stand it either. I didn't like to do that. But we come out as a unified front. So by saying that, I will say this, and I'm not going to get into the weeds of why we didn't. You're 100% right. Had all this stuff been on record, everybody in TV land, 100% had we released all this and put all this down, which a lot of this stuff was discussed, some of it in open session, some of it in closed session, okay? That is a failure that will haunt this board and that will haunt our process moving forward until we actually get past it and through it. That we didn't come out with all this information to begin with, and we didn't propose it like this. Once again, I'm not going to get into the weeds, but you know what? It would have been a lot better had all this been proposed and rolled out like this and a media release been done. So I think as a whole entire board here, or what's on here up here today, I think we've all learned something through this process. I wish with everything in me we would have did it that way. But as a board, we didn't. So now here we are, and I'm apologizing publicly for it. So, but I do appreciate the comment. What you got, Mike?
Where'd you come up to 250 days?
I come up with 250 days with my math, which is Shepherd math. So y'all forgive me. That's why I run it by him. He's the numbers guy. If we run 5 days a week.
Got it. So that's what you're looking for, 5 days?
That was mine. You guys feel free to check me. I don't have I don't know that I use a calculator on it, so, but just roughly, yeah.
5 days a week?
Mm-hmm. We got any mathematicians out there?
260.
260? Well, as a board, we like to do things on the high side, so if Christmas is on a Monday, we want to have it staffed in too. So.
Two people? 3 people?
Yeah, so figure 260.
$201,520.80.
201, I put 200, so that's why I have everybody check my math.
201.
Yeah, it's in your packet. I put all that in the actual outline of it.
520.
Can we look at the days that the staffing would be there and pick our days? So you're going to do 5 days?
5 days a week would be Monday through Friday while it's school, and while the population of the counties actually have businesses going on, people are going to and from school. I spoke with Chief Matthews on this, but I'm thinking because of school traffic, school buses, things like that, as you heard me say earlier, 0600 to 1800 hour shift change would probably be in order for that. To get people to slip inside of our county, arriving here about 5:30 in the morning to check off their stuff and actually start having some responses at 6 a.m. What's that? Permission granted, sir.
So, I presume you're talking about hiring guys, you've been in the fire business a long time.
Yes, sir.
Talking about hiring guys who are firemen somewhere else. This is their second, or in cases like my boy, the third.
Oh, yeah.
And so you're not having to pay for their insurance and stuff. I mean, you got to carry workers' comp, but not their health insurance and all that. That's a great idea.
The judge has got to, maybe I should have had him prove, once again, I learn every single day, but maybe I should have had him proofread it, but he brings up a valid point here. And so I just kind of, if you forgive me, because like you said, I've been doing it a few years, and sometimes I overlook certain things that are simple to me, but realize the rest of the world don't know. One of the things that Chief Bryant knows and myself, when you talk about the term duty crew, everybody in the fire world at least knows that a duty crew means 32 hours or less, but actually it means 24 hours a week is all they can work, because they may get hung on that, God forbid, a bus accident, a hazmat spill, a chemical plant fire, whatever the case is, that might take them a whole another 12 or 15 hours over. So we want to work them 32 hours a week or less. We're only going to schedule them for 24. And so we're not going to have to pay their health and their dental and their vision insurance. We're not going to pay them retirement. Plus they already have that at their other job. They don't need it here. The only thing we carry on them is that TML, that workman's comp. deal. And that's the rest of the duty crew world out there where these guys are already working. That's the exact same thing that they do, so.
But this budget includes, we pay them $20 an hour. It actually costs $21.53 because we have to match what they pay in Social Security and Medicare. It's an employer's match. So it's not straight $20, so if you start using 20, it's not going to work. It's $21.53.
What's that?
That's the hourly cost.
All right, so Commissioner Wilkie brought up a good question here. Very soft-spoken feller, which is why I try to lean in and listen to him and not talk past him sometimes, which happens from time to time, but he'll nudge me whenever he needs to, which he just did. How we're going to do this as far as scheduling and staffing and everything else goes, and why I'd love nothing more for this board to sit up here for 2 to 3 hours and try to figure this out. That's why we pay as a board this man over here that is called the fire chief, and that falls into the roles and responsibilities and the duties of a fire chief. That's where his training, education, experience come from.
No, keep the fingers going that way.
And that's why she's got her own issues to worry about with keeping up with the rest of this board. This falls underneath the fire department. Sure, I could do it, but man, my kids will probably run away from home, and my guys at work will probably hate me even more if I spend any more time doing things on this board like that when I have a fire chief to do it.
You're gonna have payroll and paying them and everything.
So the fire chief and the fire chief is, and the part that comes back to the administrative part of it, or the payroll and stuff, and that's when he will get with the board manager and secretary, and they'll work some things out, anything that they need to bring back to us, they'll bring back to us. But we're going to give him autonomy to do this and the budget to be able to do it. And so in some of them costs, and there's, you'll see that should be in here, and we'll double check it in a minute, there's the programs out there that have the staffing in it and have the ADP and the payroll that goes along with it. And at our last 5-hour-long workshop, that was the things that we talked about needing that software for that takes care of staffing and payroll and data acquisition and resource management and tracking of equipment and personnel and so on and so forth. So, and the good thing is Chief Matthews is not only a volunteer for 20 plus years, but he's also a paid guy and an officer in the fire department. He's already familiar with all these things. And so, one of the other commissioners, and I don't remember who, if it was Ms. Russell or Mr. Eldridge, started talking about what programs that we're going to go with and stuff. As a board, I would like to say that this chief over here has used several of them. He's going to be the ones using it. They're going to be the ones responsible for it. Let him pick which program he wants to use. And because at the end of the day, no offense, but the pressure's high, and I'm not going to fire you again on camera, but this is what his job is to do, and this is why we hired him. And so he's already worth his salt. He's already been doing the things that we've asked him to do. We got off to a slow start, and he's been waiting on the crews to actually fall in underneath him and where he can start actually doing the fun part of the fire chief business. But right now, there's still a lot of work to do, and this is part of it. And that's why we hired him. We told him this from the get-go. So,
Fired him about 12 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 12 at last meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
May I ask you a question?
Yes, ma'am.
You may have already covered this or going to cover this. Thank you for your transparency, and that was a wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
And I don't think anybody ever had any questions about wanting to move forward and wanting better. One of the questions that one of the gentlemen up here asked, and I don't know if you answered this yet or not, was the mayor had made a request about the board working within the department and coming back to him or trying to find out what had been done, is trying to work together as a team. Would you mention that that's what we are, all of the fire departments and the board, we'll work together as a team and come together where we can all work together for a better community?
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't know if you had touched on that yet or not. If something had been done where the board had come to different departments and given a report back to the mayor or not.
I didn't hear all of that last part there.
Yeah.
Are you speaking about a specific incident? Are you speaking about the Coldspring incident, or is
yes,
everybody?
Yes, the mayor had asked for, because some of your board members did go and talk to the mayor, and the mayor made a request. And so my question is,
had that been followed through and had there been
Well,
reporting
that's what we're gonna talk about here tonight as well. And while these guys are checking their numbers and Mike's checking the numbers over there, I will quickly brief on that as well. We made a decision as a board. It wasn't a unanimous decision, but it was a decision that parts of the contract were violated, and they were done so either negligently